in fairness to Dave, he was on a lot of drugs at the time. He was terribly fat, clearly in the head. But there's no disagreement on how we met. It's very simple. He simply doesn't remember. And you can see him struggling to try to remember. But in fairness to Dave, it was a long time ago, and it wasn't exactly the best time in his life. All right? So here's how we met. Here's the truth. I had mentioned it in passing a few times on the show. And I think he'll remember this. I didn't just walk into some stranger's hospital and say, hey, buddy, how you doing? Oh, we're be buddies. No, I would have had to know he was hurt. How did I know he's hurt? That means I knew he was. Here's what happened. Dave used to go to this casino every Saturday. He'd been going there for a long time. He was in the Army officially, but they told him to stay home and take care of his doctor, go to the doctor all the time. So he's rarely in uniform. He couldn't probably get in his uniform at that point. He was in tremendous amount of pain. He sat to my left in a poker tournament or a cash game or something of that nature. He sat to my left, right? We talked about sports the entire time, right? I remember people were getting irritated with us because we were, missing posts like big and small blinds and stuff like that. The next week went back, same thing happened. I think I skipped the week and I went back. And I was told the week prior, Dave had some kind of something happened where he was almost completely disabled and they took him to the hospital. I said, that's too bad. So the next day, I decided to go to the hospital. I just didn't do it at random. I think probably that's Dave's earliest memory of me. So he either forgot our initial reaction, which is completely understandable under the circumstances, or that's the first time I made an impression on him. That's it. That's what happened. It is amazing. Ever since I've been married, it's short term. My ex-wife doesn't remember who Dave was, and she was actually there. I didn't just walk into the hospital and say hello. I had a relationship with him, admittedly short, and admittedly he was only what do you call it? He was an acquaintance. But I felt so bad when I heard he was dragged out. I thought, oh, the hospital's not far. Let's stop in and say hello. Dave was very appreciative for it. So we started a relationship after that, and then we started fighting and yelling at each other and hanging up on each other and all the other shit that came with it after that. And 10, 50, 12 years later, it's the same bullshit. So that's the truth. That's how me and Dave met. It was over poker, and then I think we became friends after I went to the hospital. I didn't wander in his room, the big dummy.
No, I think you're just misremembering a little bit here. It's actually not me misremembering this one because you couldn't have possibly have visited me when you got the information that I was disabled, because that was in Launchstoel. I was medically evacuated to Launchstoel when that information was out. The local hospital where you visited me at, which was right by our apartments, right by our house, right? It was right off post, right off base rather. That was for something else. That's when I first got there and I got hurt. And I think you found out about it because you were there at the formation and someone told you. I don't know how you found out about it, but I did not know you prior to that. So there's just a disagreement, but I'm not misremembering because you couldn't have visited me when you think you did because that was in Launchstoel and you didn't come visit me in Launchstoel. Nobody did, except the fucking chain of command after they got fucking chewed out, but nobody else did. You came and visited me at the one that was right, not Hilda Garden, that was too far away. It was the one that was right next to Post. I can't remember the name of the hospital, but that's where you and your family visited. Quick timeline the way that I remember it. I was traded to Tommy's company in early 2007 with the intention of us deploying just a few months later, which is what we did. We deployed in summer of 2007. I got hurt at the beginning of that when I first got there. That's when I remember Tommy visiting me because I wasn't really hurt yet. I wasn't hurt yet. We played poker after that, and I only remember that because somebody asked me who he was, and I said some guy who visited me in the hospital. He was a really cool dude. That's just the way I remember it. After that, and the only reason why I remember that part is because everything else came after. My serious trauma, the one I got hurt, that all came after, and that was all in Launchstoel. So I was medically evacuated back the first time in 2008, January 6, 2008. They sent me back in May of 2008. I had a temporary nerve block in me. The temporary nerve block gave out in August. I was medically evacuated again. Spinal cord stimulator, October of 2000.
Fat ass friend. I was not with Shay at that point. I wasn't with him. I was in the rear, my other unit with 1AD headquarters. So I couldn't have gone to your formation because I didn't know you. You don't remember. And I remember what you were wearing, you former fat ass. You were wearing a Chicago Cubs hat, blue, and a Chicago Cubs, a huge, really, like it could have been, it would have been like a tent, and a Chicago Cubs jacket, right? And that's where he thought. And the week I went in, they told me that they pulled you out of the poker game. That the hospital guys came there, and I said, "Where is he?" They said St. Joseph's. St. Joseph's is down the street. I did not know you in Iraq, even though there's a picture of us very close to each other during the wrestling thing. I didn't know you then. I was in the rear. Remember, I only did about 8 months in Iraq. I was with headquarters. I was then transferred to Shea when everybody came home. That's what happened. I don't know about Longstool. I never saw you in Longstool. I walked over to St. Joseph's because I met you. We had like 2 weeks together. I stopped going. I went back. They told me the week prior that the EMTs took you out. So on the Sunday, I went over there. You know, I remember everything. You're fat and on drugs.
First off, cool your tits, Grandpa. I don't want that blood pressure to get too high. Now, yeah, I can misremember a lot of stuff because of all the morphine and things, but the key dates on all this I remember just because of how linear it was. When I got there, when I was medically evacuated, both times, when I got the spinal cord stimulator in me, these are all just key dates that are in stone that I know for certain. I keep fucking up one thing. I keep saying I came to your company. I didn't. I came to Wiesbaden where you already were. That's what I'm saying. It doesn't even make sense to say unit or battalion because I was always in first AD. So you were already in Wiesbaden. I came from Dexheim. You would then come to my company later. I don't even remember when that was, but you and I wouldn't meet, and you're right, until 2008 because that's when I would start playing at the courthouse. But when I remember you visited me at St. Joseph's was 2007. But I could misremember that. Maybe you're just not a nice guy. That's possible too. Yeah, he's a jerk. He didn't come visit me for no reason. I don't know.